Hi, this is the window I've been making for you, and this window is now turned over. What we are going to do now is to be very careful because the window, the solder has started to come through this window. As you can see, there is solder all along these areas. It has filled up the gaps. It's making the window strong, that's good, but it's also going to trap the flux. So if you're using a liquid flux, you're going to have to be careful. It's going to spit and it can hurt. So wearing long sleeves would be good. I don't have any long sleeves, so we're going to go with what we have. You're going to use a little less flux, so I'm going to barely put the flux onto this window and see how it goes. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna heat this up. And you're not gonna need to use as much solder. You're gonna have to move a little slower. And if you see the solder disappear, what is happening is it's flowing onto the other side of the window. And you really want to stop putting solder. Now that one has flattened out. I believe I've got a bleed through. I believe the solder is on the other side. I'm not going to add any solder. I'm going to continue to move down the line. And I have to go slower because the solder is kind of spitting at me. But if you don't use as much flux and you go nice and slow, you can get a beautiful solder line. Okay. So now we're going to go over here. Now I'm going to come back and I'm going to resolder this area after it has cooled down. I need more solder. Your windows will go through quite a bit of solder. This window will take almost a pound. I like my lines to be very nice and smooth. I tend to get kind of picky about that. If you slow down too much, you can get a very large amount of solder in the corners. If you take your iron and you heat up an area and you pull, you might be able to remove a little bit of solder. But you still need flux, that's for sure. You still need flux. I haven't dipped it into the flux jar yet though. I'm just using the residual that's been on the flux brush. And that's enough to make the solder flow, which is what I want it to do. And I'm still staying away from the edge, so be careful of that. Slow, 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 but keep moving. There's a little bit of there was a little hole right there. I had to fill it up because that was the flux coming through. I'm going to have to dip into the flux, but I'm going to brush off a lot of the flux just to get a light amount on my flux brush. Once that ball is gone from behind my iron, I want to add more solder. There's a little bit too much solder there, so I'm going to take the flat of the iron and I'm going to pull. I'm going to remove that solder and put it over here. Then I'll probably clean it up a little bit, but I have taken that away. Now, if you tip your iron up, the solder will fall off. But if you keep it level and allow it to be underneath the soldering iron, if you allow the solder to be held by the soldering iron, you will have an amount of solder. You can take solder and move it, but it's a tricky little thing to do. Okay, so I'm going to solder this line. And then I'm going to let you go and I'm going to finish this window. If you need more help, let me know that you want me to solder longer. Let me know and give me some feedback. I love to have feedback. So the next segment of this window will be adding a border and cleaning. So that's a very important project. You must clean the flux off. Never leave your window with flux on it. Clean it up immediately, whether you have to wash it with glass cleaner or actually wash it with baking soda and water, or you need to clean the flux off your window. Otherwise, you will stain your glass and you cannot get it off. It will actually stain your glass, so you don't want to do that. Wash, wash, wash. Okay, thanks for watching.